Hey, everybody. Good morning. Very special day in our program, but before I start by doing that, just want to say congratulations to the Minnesota Vikings. I haven't had a chance to see all of you guys, so publicly just want to congratulate them and Coach Zimmer and everything he's doing and accomplishing with the Vikings. And Super Bowl's coming to town. Santa's coming to town. Super Bowl, a lot of things happened in the Twin Cities signing day for the Gophers. Really, really excited about that. Before we get going, I also want to thank our current players. Our current players are the ones that host these players when they come on official visits. And if your players talk really positive about your program, they're going to bring in elite recruits. The players are going to tell the truth to other players. And I've seen it all over the country at different times. Sometimes they get with other players and like, hey, don't come here. And one thing I'll say is that our players did a spectacular job of hosting and recruiting these young men. They're doing a tremendous job right now. They're finishing up their finals. They've done a tremendous job in the classroom with our Gopher for Life program, our community service, their academics. It's really fun and inspiring to watch our student athletes continue to develop in our culture. I'm very, very proud of them for that. And I'm also excited, and especially today, for our alums, for our boosters, for our fans, for the entire state of Minnesota in terms of the how we're taking the next step in Gopher football, and really the first major step towards what we all want to accomplish. So I just want to say thank you to all of our faculty and everybody here associated with the University of Minnesota. I'm truly honored to be your head football coach. And finally, this is the last official day of work in this building, everybody. Next time we do something like this, we'll be in the Athletes Village. So we're very excited about that opening here very soon. I think we get the keys here. I can't tell you the exact date, but I can, but I don't think I'm supposed to tell you that. But that'll be here right when we come back here very early January. So we're very excited about getting in that brand new complex, one of the best facilities in the country for all of our student athletes, but especially I know Coach Patino is really fired up to get in there for his practice facility, his offices, and we're really excited to get in there as well. So thank you for everybody who's contributed to that. $166 million Athletes Village is finally getting done here in the next few weeks. It's a beautiful place, and we look forward to being in there. Really excited about this recruiting class. I want to start by talking a few statistical things that all of you are interested in, not necessarily me, but all of you are interested in. So I know that you'll be ready for some of these. This is a very historic class at the University of Minnesota, so I'll start from there. I do want to mention O.J. Smith, who was a transfer from Alabama, who was on our team this year that had to sit out because he was a transfer. He will be a nose guard for us coming up here, starting, and he can play this year. Had to sit out last year, so he's part of this class, technically, with being able to push some scholarships back for last year. And then Chris Williamson, who's the transfer cornerback from the CB, from the University of Florida. So those guys have been with us for an entire year already, and I know they're really looking forward to being involved in spring ball and making it count that they actually get to be a part of it. This is the highest-ranked recruiting class in school history. In the internet era, according to 24/7 Sports, with an average of 86.09 per recruit. The previous highest was back in 2009 with 86.03. And I say this with all respect, that numbers don't make a football team, okay? I was a minus 2-star recruit. I said that in my press conference. These don't mean anything, but it shows the type of quality players that are giving up a lot of opportunities to come to the University of Minnesota, where we're told we can't, we couldn't, we shouldn't, why would we? And we are. And I think that's part of the process of building this so everybody can see the proof. We're ranked 22nd in the country in the 24/7 Scout team rankings, those two combined, which is the highest ever at the University of Minnesota. Ranked 23rd in the ESPN Recruiting Nation class ranking, highest ever at Minnesota. Never been in the top 25 before in this ranking with ESPN. 24/7 composite has the Gophers ranked 26 in the country, which is a composite of all of them in the nation. In the previous years, Minnesota's average ranking was around 57.5. First time at Minnesota that we've had a #1 recruiting class in the west side of the division. And I think that's really important because that's the side of the division that we focus on. That's the side of the division we have to win to be able to get to the Big Ten championship in Indianapolis. Very important for that. 5th-ranked class in the Big Ten, and again, #1 recruiting class in the Big Ten West. This is only the second time ever that Minnesota has finished in the top half in the Big Ten in recruiting rankings, according to 24/7. 58 of the 62 Power 5 teams have offered at least one of our signees. So there's 62 Power 5 teams. 58 have offered at least one of them. That's big. According to Rank by Offers, this class has more top 25 offers, 50 plus, than 2013, 14, 15, 16, and 17 combined. So you talk about top 25 teams offering our players, 50 plus of those, right? You're talking about 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 combined. Again, type of person that's giving up maybe what they used to not give up to come here. 6 four-star recruits, as rated by 3 major services: Rashad Bateman, wide receiver; Curtis Dunlap, offensive lineman; Daniel Fa'alele, offensive line; Alex Riegelsberger, Terrell Smith, and Vic Veramontes, quarterback. It's the highest-rated defensive line, offensive line, and wide receiver class in Minnesota history. Both running backs that we have committed and signed are both ranked in the top 25. Bryce Williams is ranked the 18th best back in the country, and then Nolan Edmonds is the 23rd ranked back in the country. 2 players in the ESPN 300, which I think is really important as we get to true signing day in February, when all this will continue to hit media again, which I think is very beneficial not only today but also in February. I think that's very big for us. Curtis Dunlap was the 123rd rated prospect in the entire country, and Alex Riegelsberger, he was the 157th ranked player in the entire country. Most ESPN recruits that Minnesota's ever had. 2 players in the ESPN Junior College Top 50. We took 2 junior college players out of a class that you look at, whether you look at as 25, 26, 27, 28 with the other transfers we had, but 2 junior college players. And I think that's very important because that's what I said. I said we're not going to fix it with 20 of them. We're going to fix it with 2 of them. Usually 1 or 2 a year, and I think that's a necessity. With Jason Dixon, a big offensive tackle that we needed to be able to step in to give some of the younger guys a chance to develop. We have a need at tackle with Donnell Green being older and then Sam Schluter still being a young guy. We needed one to be able to provide some years of experience. And we'll talk about Jason in a little bit, but Jason's kind of like Donnell Green's brother. They look almost identical when you see them. Just make sure you understand that part. And then obviously Vic Veramontes, the number 1 junior college quarterback in the country, which I'll read his stats later, which are pretty astonishing of what he's accomplished in high school, and also the JUCO Player of the Year and first-team All-American as well. So we'll talk about that. We have 2 players playing in the Under Armour All-American game, which I think is really important because there's a lot of young players, a lot of young recruits out there, the 19 class, 20, 21, 22, 30, 31 class, 32 class, that are going to watch that game. And they're going to see the University of Minnesota represented at the Under Armour All-American game, which is very important for our brand at the University of Minnesota to be out in those games. Number 1 junior college ranked player in the country, and that's Vic Veramontes. Curtis Dunlap, being a 4-star recruit and a 9.22 rating, is the highest recruit ever on the offensive line here at the University of Minnesota. Terrell Smith, T-Time is what we call him. We have 2 corners, T-Time and now C-Time, C.J. Smith. So you're going to get a chance to see those guys. But T-Time's 100-meter dash at 10.32 and his 200-meter dash at 20.84, which makes him the fastest Big Ten corner commit since 2010. I mean, the kid can fly, flat out fly. We signed 26 student athletes, 25 on scholarship, 1 preferred walk-on. We have some gray shirts in there as well. 15 players on offense, 11 on defense. 7 players will enroll early here at the University of Minnesota. Zach Annexted will be here. Nathan Bowe, Curtis Dunlap, Daniel Falele, Thomas Rush, Alex Riegelsberger, and Vic Veramontes. And then the most important one, in my opinion, out of all that, because we can talk stars, we can talk numbers, we can talk all rankings, that's out the door. That's over, done with, right? We're all now to be 1 star, 1 team, 1 direction, rowing the boat in the same direction, same speed, same efficiency. But this one I love. 25 of the 26 are multi-sport athletes. That's important to me. I've said that from day one. We recruit multi-sport athletes, and we will continue to do that. For everybody, if you want to come to the University of Minnesota and you want to specialize in that, I'm not saying we won't take you, because we will, but we emphasize multiple sports. So for parents out there, make sure that your sons, your daughters, your kids, get them involved in other sports, because this head coach likes to look at those things. Our staff likes to see your son compete, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of the University of Minnesota coaches. Like I said earlier, there's just a few people we want to be able to thank before we get to talk about each one of these players quickly. I just want to thank the state of Minnesota. It's been an adventurous first 11 months. I will say that. I've been very honored to be your head football coach and very honored to represent you every single day, representing the University of Minnesota brand. I know our staff feels the same way. This recruiting class is for you. This recruiting class has been done by our elite staff. This is not me. This is our staff. We have an incredible staff who's worked tirelessly and has defeated all odds to make sure this day happened, where we didn't have anybody flip. We didn't have anybody stop today. We didn't have anybody say, well, I want to wait. They all wanted to be a Gopher at 7:01 a.m., and it was amazing how fluid it went. I want to thank our Board of Regents. I want to thank all of you for seeing big picture. I know the big thing out there is our staff extension. I want to thank you. I know that's not easy when a team goes 5-7. I know where we are. I know what we did. I know it probably better than everybody else, but to have you think big term, long term, see the big plan, long-term plan that Mark Coyle has in our football program, it means the world to us and our recruits. President Kaler, thank you for everything that you allow us to do on a daily basis, academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually. It means the world to our football players, and they're not just football players, they're student athletes, and they're people first. I want to thank Mark Coyle, John Cunningham, and Rhonda McFarland. I just want to thank Mark, because Mark has just been amazing to me, my staff, and he has seen the big picture of what we're accomplishing. And his vision of becoming champions is something we share. And I think that, he was here early in the morning. He was here at 5 a.m. Getting ready for signing day. He was excited. He was so excited he locked his coat in his office. Probably doesn't want me sharing that with you. But he had his shirt and tie on. But I know he was really excited about what his vision looked like when they hired our staff. And I hope that he's proud of what we bring in, not only now but the future. Jackie Lenish and Robert Day, two people who work tirelessly in academics, who also, when we were hosting recruits, had sat down with families, talked about the academics, one of the best academics in the country here, one of the best faculty in America here at the University of Minnesota. So everybody should be proud of what's coming in. I want to thank Garrett Chernoff, our general manager. He's my right-hand man. He takes care of everything in-house. He's really the designer of the whole class. He really is a special person. If you get a chance to be around him, he's high energy all the time, which is kind of a prerequisite if you're going to work for us anyway. Marcus Hendrickson, our Director of Player Personnel. John Shakel, our Recruiting Coordinator. Daniel Ift, our Recruiting Assistant. Margie Walsh, our Recruiting Assistant. Will Henry, our Recruiting Assistant. All those cool graphics you see out there in recruiting, that's done by Will Henry. And then I want to really especially thank all of our coaches' wives. Our coaches have been on the road, not only through the season, but also through recruiting. We're going to go back on the road in January, and we're going to be away from our families, away from our kids again. I just want to thank all of you for the sacrifices you make on a daily basis. So, and most importantly, I want to thank our staff, our coaches. They're the ones that put in all the work. They're the ones that coach our players. They're the ones that continue to recruit and go out and get the finest student athletes we can possibly find to bring here to the University of Minnesota. I'm just so honored to have them a part of us. Everybody asks me all the time, hey, we got an elite staff. Hold on to them. I'll be honest with you. I want our guys to keep going too. We have a bunch of coaches on our staff that need to be head coaches, will be head coaches, and all of you should be very proud of that. Not very often does that come along where you have so many guys on your staff that deserve and will be head coaches, and I look forward to them one day becoming head coaches and running their own program. So with that, I figured I would go through each recruit really quickly, give a little synopsis of each kid, and then I'll open it up for questions. By that time, I'm sure Paul will be pulling me off the stage because I'm sure I don't have a problem with taking all the time in the world. So we'll start with this. We'll start on the defensive line. I'll just go in alphabetical order. That way everybody can follow along. I won't go by position. I think you might all have it in alphabetical order too. But we'll start with Mayan Ahanatu from Berkeley Prep High School down there in Tampa. Mayan Ahanatu, a lot of you know his dad, Chidi Ahanatu, played in the NFL over 10 years. NFL vet, played numerous teams. This is his son. I'd say this kid is an explosive defensive end. He's about 245 pounds right now. Unbelievable person, unbelievable young man. Here's how he ends up committing to us. He's already visited us, but now he's driving to an ACC school. Okay, I won't tell you which one. And he's taking a visit. And after this visit, he's going to decide. But right in front of him and his family, there's a car accident. Covers the whole road. They shut the road down. He says, looks to his dad, says, Dad, it's a sign. I need to be a Gopher. They turned back around, went home, did not go visit, said, I'm a Gopher. That's exactly how the story went. So I hope nobody was injured in what was in terms of in front of him, which I don't think there was. But again, that's how we got him and how he got committed. So everybody has a unique story. But Mayan, we're very excited for joining our program. Zach Anixted, quarterback, 6'3", 215 pounds out of IMG Academy, and right here in Northland, Minnesota is where he's from. He's an early enrollee. He'll be coming here very soon. He's a legacy. This is what we have to create here at the University of Minnesota, and we have to do it a lot more with every class. In the 19s, we have to create more legacies. In the 20s, same way. This young man turned down multiple offers, ACC, other Power Fives, other Group of Fives, to come play here just like his dad did. His dad played in the National Football League. A lot of you know him. His brother Brock plays here as well. He's a true leader. And you can see we have some guys from IMG committed. This guy rallied them all. Talk about a true leader and a young man. If you read all of his tweets, he talks about the underdog. He could have easily just taken the offer other places. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to do it the hard way, and he wanted to do it around a culture that he believed in and he really, really loved. This young man dreamed of becoming a Golden Gopher, and now he's a Golden Gopher. That's what it's all about. Very, very proud to have Zach Anixted here. Again, true leader. You'll all be seeing him here in January. Next, Josh Awney, 6'2", 200 pounds from Highland Park High School in St. Paul, Minnesota, 4.0 student. Young man that comes to camp. You want all those young people out there and parents that are listening, you want to know how important camp is? He's a camp kid where you say, hey, we need you to come to camp to prove it. And all he did was prove it. He's a 4.0 GPA. He had the times, he had the speed, he had the agility, but more importantly, he never, ever didn't take a rep. So when he was up in line, he'd go, and then when he get to the end of the line, he'd cut in front of everybody else to take the next rep. That's my kind of guy. I'm not sure if he'll play linebacker or safety, but he's an athlete. You watch his high school film, he's the punter, he's the kicker, he's the quarterback, he's the running back, he's the tight end, he's a linebacker, he's a safety. He's everything. The only true time he came off the field at some point was when he didn't kick field goals. That's the only time he came off the field. He's a true athlete. He's a true Gopher. He's a true Minnesota high school student athlete that we're very, very proud to have. There's people who want to be Gophers, and there's people who need to be Gophers. This is a young man who need to be a Gopher. Very excited about bringing Josh into our family. This next one is, they're all special, but this one really did something and led the way that most people didn't do, and most people couldn't do as you follow across the country. Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, 6'2", 190 pounds, from Tift County High School in Tifton, Georgia. Now, we're going to have to be able to get a Zaxby's here. His favorite food is Zaxby's. And I know we have a lot of places, Buffalo Wild Wings, eLITe. I know we got some Raising Cane's. We got that, but we got to bring a Zaxby's up here. He eats every single meal right now at Zaxby's. And him and I share the same birthday. And we shared our birthday together, November 29th. Now, obviously, my year is a little different than his. Won't tell you that part. But every birthday gift he got from his family was a Zaxby's gift card. You know somebody loves Zaxby's, that's all he gets for his birthday, and complete joy, like he just opened up a brand new gift that he's never seen when he kept opening these things. So one thing I'll say about this young man, this is, I think, where the whole class started. We went down to West Georgia, had a camp. He had no offers at the time. And he runs for us, he performs for us, and I said, hey, I'm going to offer you a scholarship. He goes, perfect. I want to commit. Then you start thinking, wow, that was too easy. You know, that was a little too easy. Now, what's going on? He said, I have been following your program for so long, had never visited. He said, you're the head coach and you're the staff I want to play for. I've done all my homework on who I want to play for in college football, and I couldn't wait to come to your camp and prove to you that I was going to be able to do this. So you go through the year, this young man technically had more than 25 offers at the end. In-state SEC, playoff teams, SEC, ACC, everybody from the country, Big 12 comes flying in offering him. And when you talk about a kid staying true to his word, when you have people from those programs, head coaches coming in to try to flip you, talk you out of it, I said, nope, I'm rowing the boat, signing in with Minnesota on December 20th at 7 a.m. And everybody thinks he's crazy. Crazy. And I'm not going to tell who he was, but you can figure that out. I've never seen somebody with that many offers, and those offers in that state and around that state in the South give up that to come all the way up here to the Twin Cities. That's special. He's a special person with special qualities. and I think everybody's going to love him. He's a multi-sport athlete, had Big Ten offers in basketball. So Coach Pitino's not allowed around our football program at all to even watch practice, okay? But he had Big Ten offers to play basketball. Incredible athlete. Watch his film. We needed playmakers on the outside. He's a high character individual. You're all going to fall in love with him when he arrives here in the summer. Next, Austin Byer, offensive line, 6'4", 280 pounds, out of St. John's High School in Toledo, Ohio. High academic student, over a 4.0, over a 38, or he had a 30 ACT, tough, athletic. Again, another camp person that we had in the Ohio traveling camps that we do, and he just knocked it out of the park. A lot of teams coming in, offering him really late. The day he committed to us, he went over to Manny's, right? Manny's, big-time steakhouse in town. Goes over to Manny's, takes a picture, because we talked about you got to gain some weight too now. So he goes, I'm going to Manny's, takes a picture at Manny's of the bludgeon of beef that they have, which is a 54-ounce bone-in ribeye, and says, don't worry, I'll get there, I promise. And so he's gotten there. His mom, Karen, is a kickboxer, so he comes from a very, very tough family. And this guy is a multi-sport athlete who really plays O-line, very tough individual. Next, offensive lineman Nathan Bowe, in-state talent, Lakeville North High School. It's kind of offensive line university there, offensive line high school, Lakeville, Minnesota. He's what a Necton is all about. Always attacking, never full, very positive, upbeat young man. Dreamed his entire life of becoming a Gopher, and now he is. Tremendous high school tradition at Lakeville North in terms of offensive line play. Now, his sister Alana is young, but she's the best athlete in the family. She is we're sitting there at a home visit talking to his family, his brothers and his sister and his mom and dad. And, his mom sister goes, he's not even the best one in the family. So I start looking at the boys like, all right, which one of you are next? He goes, no, Alana. Alana, go show him. I'm like, show him? What's she going to do? Like, goes upstairs, comes down with handfuls, armfuls of medals and just drops them like, what? What you going to do about this, Coach Fleck? Right? And but she is who knows? She could be a Gopher one day. So, but again, really excited about Nathan Bowe, in-state talent, staying home. Next, Jason Dixon, 6'6", 300 pounds, out of Diablo Valley Junior College in Corona, California. Again, I talked to you about our tackle depth issue that we had to be able to fix, and Jason does that immediately. We got a chance to get on Jason pretty early. We knew we wanted to take maybe one junior college offensive lineman to kind of bridge that gap as the young guys develop and they continue to either redshirt or continue to play as freshmen in spot parts or just play as a true freshman and take their lumps. But we needed to get somebody like a Donnell Green. And like I said, if you put Donnell Green and Jason Dixon right next to each other, you think they're brothers. And I think Jason's actually got Donnell by about that much and maybe a few pounds. But he is a very explosive offensive lineman, long, has incredible reach. Very, very happy to have Jason join our family. Again, tons of Pac-12 offers out there. Came over here and fell in love with it. And I'll be honest with you, before he came on his visit, he said to himself, I just don't know, Coach, man. That's a long way. And I can go right here to some Pac-12 schools. And but when he came here, he said, I am so glad I did. I had no idea that the Twin Cities were like this. And I think I speak for every recruit in this book. And that's why we have a top 25 recruiting class. Because people don't know until you get here. They don't know. And that's what we're going to continue to do, get them on campus. Next, Curtis Dunlap Jr., offensive line, 6'5", 370. He'll trim that down just a little bit, but not too much. We like him big here at the University of Minnesota. He'll enroll early. This is a young man who stated to me that he wanted to be here. Without seeing it, I commit. But then he said, you know what, Coach? I commit. You got to believe me and you got to trust me. If I could tell you how many times I've heard that in recruiting, right? Oh, you can trust me. But I will say this. After he said that, this is what made him special. He goes, my mom is my heart, and she has to see it. She's everything to me. There's a young man who lost his father a few months ago. And, his dad was a major part of his life. And I know that hurt the family a lot. But this is a special young man that's going to live his father's legacy. That's what makes this class special. I know he's big. I know he's strong. I know he's 4 stars. This kid's a 5-star person. He's got a 5-star heart. He's an exceptional human being. and he'll be in the Under Armour All-American game. And, he roomed with Zach Annexstead down there in IMG. So when I talk about Zach being that connector, this guy's a tremendous, tremendous player. Again, was committed to an SEC school, came over with the Gophers after he saw it, like I said. And we're very honored to have him, and very honored to be the ones that could continue to develop him through his life and pick up where his father left off. Nolan Edmonds, running back, 5'11", 200 pounds, from Alpharetta High School in Alpharetta, Georgia. Before I get going a little bit on him, I want to talk about Mo Lindquist, our defensive back coach who recruits Georgia. And I hope all of you appreciate what has happened here today, especially with these kids from Georgia who had multiple SEC offers, in-state offers. It's very difficult to get them up here. But Mo Lindquist has established relationships down there for years. That was one of the reasons why he was hired. And these young people love him, absolutely love him. And when I go down there with Coach Lindquist, it's amazing how many people he knows. We'll be walking down the street to go to lunch, and people are yelling across the street, "Hey, Mo!" And I'm sitting there, "How do you know that guy?" "Well, I went to school with this guy, and this guy talks to this guy." He's an exceptional recruiter, an exceptional coach, an exceptional human being, and just like all of our coaches. But he's a prime example of it's not possible without our staff. But Nolan Edmonds, running back, Alpharetta High School down there in Georgia, he recommitted to us and knew this was for him. And he's a special individual with a special family. His brother Graylin's birthday's today. His room, I went up there to I always look at our players' rooms. I always ask me on home visits, I said, "Let me see your room." There's a design by that. I want to see if they make their bed. I want to see if their room's clean. I want to see if their closets are clean. I want to see how they live. If they say, whoa, can't go in there, coach. Well, I'm going in. I says, I don't know what I'm going to find. I'm going in. I'm going through that door, though. And one thing about him is you walk in, it's immaculate. And then you look on the wall. And we send our recruits pretty much every day these quotes that are on these little cards, these note cards. And it's all of our Gopher talk. And on his wall, he has every single one of these we sent him. And it's shaped into the word elite. So when we talk about the word elite, what that means, it's a mindset. Living an elite lifestyle. We say, "Hey, how you doing?" We're doing elite. I want our players to think at an elite level, not an average level. I want them to be different, and I want them to be free to be who they are, but I want them to be different. Be yourself, but be it at an elite level. And he had this already spelled out. He also had the number 3 up there, like he wants 3, so we'll do everything we can to make that happen. But you talk about one of the top 25 running backs in the country, an amazing human being. He's a 4'5", 240 young man who can fly, and we're very, very happy and very excited to have that Peach State connection up here to the Twin Cities. Next, I'm sure a lot of you are anticipating this one, Daniel Fa'alele from IMG Academy by way of Melbourne, Australia. This young man he's a special. And the one thing about him is everybody sees this giant of a man. He's 6'9", 410 pounds, yes. And if he walked through that door, he might be one of the biggest human beings you ever see. You say, "Hey, that's a WWE wrestler." But the one thing that makes him special is his heart, the type of young man he is. He was coming on a visit. You know what really mattered to him? His mom coming here. Well, his mom lives in Melbourne. In case you didn't know, it takes over a day to get from Melbourne to the Twin Cities. Over a day through different flights. And I give credit to our administration, Rhonda McFarland, John Cunningham, Mark Coyle, because there was a lot of people who didn't fly their mom up, right, and be able to pay for that, because that's what we do, pay for the parents to come fly, just because they were in Melbourne, Australia. Well, that's just like anybody from Detroit, Michigan, or from Iowa City, Iowa, or from St. Louis, Missouri, or from Jacksonville, Florida. It's the same thing. That's your mom. She came on up, had an elite time. Ruth is a very special lady. But this guy is a very, very, very special person. He visited us in the spring, fell in love with us, looked for fit and family. That's what he wanted, fit and family. Where am I going to have that family fit? His family's a very tight-knit group, and he wanted that type of feel, and the University of Minnesota was perfect for him. He's from Melbourne, Australia. It's a big city. Well, so is the Twin Cities, and I think he fell in love with that. He's only played 1 year of football, everybody. 1. And he's a rugby player, like a dynamite rugby player. So he gets down in those scrums. That's what he is, and I'm sure he won a lot of those. But everybody sees this big man, but inside there's a very special person, and he's amazing. So thank you to our administration for really going above and beyond and just doing the right things to make sure that Daniel had what he deserved to be able to get here, and it just means a lot. Next up, Eric Gibson, wide receiver, 6'3", 190 pounds, multi-sport athlete out of Detroit, Michigan at Martin Luther King High School. This is a young man we've known for about 2.5 years. We recruited him back at the former stop that we were at. Very good hands, very explosive playmaker, team player. His team needed him to play safety this year. So he moved from wide receiver to safety, played safety almost more than he played wide receiver this year because his team needed him to. He's a camp guy, came to us, blew up camp, did a tremendous job. Very excited about Eric joining our family. Next up, Jornell Mans, 5'11", 190 pounds, out of Mansfield, Ohio, Mansfield High School. He's a playmaker. He's a multi-sport athlete, 4 sports. And you kind of think baseball, football, track, baseball. Yeah. The 4th one, though, is bowling. He is a 2-handed bowler. But you know what that is? It's a fad. Like, it's really a fad going through bowling. And, you know, the PBA wants to make it illegal because the amount of RPMs you get on that ball when you spin it with 2 hands, it explodes the pins. So there's this big thing going through the PBA, I think, right now in terms of, is it allowed, is it not allowed? He's exceptional. His average is around 212. Average. Now, I did say I have bowled against him, and I did beat him. I do have a special Gopher ball. It is. It's a Gopher ball. You should see my golfing shirt or my bowling shirt. And but he's a multi-sport athlete, a great bowler. Scored 6 touchdowns in 1 game this year. He loves to compete. We had him at the Ohio camp when we were there. Jornell's just been with us for a long time. Very excited to have him here. Playmaker on the outside. Next up, Abby Okonji from South Winnett High School in Snellville, Georgia. This young man is, again, another multi-sport athlete. Football, track, wrestling. He flew up in the spring, fell in love with it. We worked him out at camp, did a tremendous job. You know, his name, Okonji, means, right, I am here and I came to conquer. That's the type of guy he is. Simple as that. Okay? When you see this guy's lower half, legs, calves, he's coming to conquer. I promise you that. And rushing the passer. Next, Braylon Oliver, another Peach State connection. Mom Lydia, fabulous human being, wonderful woman, wonderful lady. His brother played at Georgia Tech. He's a 6', 215-pound linebacker that can fly. He's from Douglas County High School in Douglasville, Georgia. Thumper. He's a thumper. He can hit, he can run, he can fly. He's in the high 4.4s in the 40 at linebacker, which we need our players to do that. We play a lot of teams that can really fly, really run, spread it out, and we needed to be able to do that. He had 164 tackles this year. Think about that, 164 tackles. That's almost like around 15 a game. That's what he does. Watched him play basketball, his first year playing basketball, jumping out of the gym. The pregame of basketball was better than the actual game because he put on a show. He knew we were there, putting on a show, dunking the ball, twitch everywhere, explosion. Problem, though, is his girlfriend, the game before, is a way better basketball player than he is. She hit the game-winning three-pointer, so pretty cool. But he's a special individual that's going to help us at the linebacker, especially with John Celestine moving out. This is a young man I think you're going to see a lot of come next year. Grant Norton, 6'8", 265 pounds, from Camdenton High School, Camdenton, Missouri. This is a young man, has an awesome story. He came to camp, was sick. He was literally sick. And then he went through camp and got sicker. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'd really like to offer this young man, but he's so sick and he can't perform. I want to see him do some things. Goes home, says, Coach, I'm coming back when I actually feel better. Came back, crushed it. And he could have committed to a bunch of other Big Ten schools, other ACC schools, could have done that. And just said, I'm just going to stay with them. Wanted to be here. And he's routed right around the Lake of the Ozarks. And his family is involved and owns Taiga Boats. Right? So if anybody likes wakeboarding out there, anybody likes wakeboarding, it's a wakeboard boat. They're very involved with water sports. He's very involved with water sports. And the coolest thing about when you walk into somebody's house and you say, beautiful house, would you like to see our gym? You say, yeah. Is it downstairs? Is it, out back? Where is it? Well, come on out. It's in their garage. They clean their entire garage out. It's not used as a garage to park cars. All 3 of them are used for a complete gym. You think you're in some type of, Lifetime Fitness club. I mean, it's unbelievable what they did. And that's when you sit there and go, all right, this guy gets it. And it helps that his dad's all jacked up too and looks really elite as well. So, but very, very excited to have Grant Norton join our family. Next, defensive end, Alex Riegelsberger, 6'4", 255 pounds, out of Wayne High School in Dayton, Ohio. If you're on Twitter, you probably know him. He's very active on Twitter. He's very all about the Gophers. Really excited to have Alex join our family. High motor kid. I mean, this guy flies around the film all over the place. There's going to be guys that are taller. There's going to be guys that are bigger. But this guy's motor never stops. True neckton. He had 12.5 sacks this year. He's one of the top 160 players in the country. Pretty special individual, picking the Minnesota Golden Gophers to, again, extend his playing career and his academic career. Next up, Thomas Rush, linebacker. 6'3", 225 pounds, out of Marysville High School, Marysville, Ohio. Another camp player. Can't stress camp enough. We have a camp in Ohio. He comes to it, runs an incredible 40 time. It matched his film. This is a guy that when you see, you're like, okay, that's a pretty individual now. That's a pretty football player. Then he puts his pads on you, and you're like, wow, now that's what they're supposed to look like. That's him. He hasn't had a B on his report card his entire life. And I don't mean like C's, D's, and F's from there. He's had all A's his entire life. So that's what we're bringing in. He's fast. I already talked about he really looks elite in a uniform. Had 261 rushes for over 1,400 yards. Played linebacker, played running back. He's already admitted into the Carlson School of Management. You talk about somebody who's got his priorities straight and understands what he wants. Yeah, that's a young man, academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually, that wants to live that elite lifestyle. When we offered him, right, he decided that, well, I really want to be there, but I haven't seen campus. The next day, 12 hours later, he was on the campus. Flew up here, next day, already here, saw it, committed. Pretty amazing in terms of being able to say, I want to see it, I have to see it, I hear so much about it, want to be there. Next up, Benny Sapp III, 6'1", 180 pounds, Eden Prairie High School, also from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He was our first commit to the class. I remember sitting in my office with him and putting out this whole vision. We're going to put a top 25 class together, Benny. And Benny looked at me like, And I'm not saying Benny, this Benny. His dad, Benny, looked at me and said, huh? You're going to put a what together? We're going to do it. That's going to be the first step in this becoming a champion. And Benny said, I'm in. And at that time, he had some offers. You're sitting there going, holy cow. You kind of, as a coach, you go, wow, it worked. And then you sit there and go, this guy believes everything that happens at Minnesota, what our vision is, what our goals are, what our dreams are. He's special. He's had a lot of injuries here and there. But again, a lot of people would move on from that. I'm not, because I know what type of young man we're inheriting. I know what type of man we're getting and how hard he's going to work. He's a long line of Bens in his family. And I mean that. Like Ben Jr., Benita. There's a lot of Bens. But he's Benny Sapp III. He's a definition of what Row the Boat's all about. He's relentless. Can't wait to have him here. Terrell Smith, tea time. Remember I said we have a C time and a tea time. This is tea time, right? As in Terrell Smith, 6'1", 180 pounds, out of South Gwinnett High School, Snellville, Georgia. The Flash. That's what he is. He's the Flash. 10, 200 meters, 20.8, 200 meters. I already talked about him being the fastest commit in the last few years in terms of corner in the Big Ten, in terms of just times. He committed before seeing it. So another guy from Georgia that Coach Mo's recruiting that commits before he even saw it. And not only that, incredibly loyal. The top Big 12 schools come in, top SEC schools come in, never wavered from that. You want to talk about a loyal young man? He's been dating his girlfriend since 6th grade. And when you see them, they look like they just started dating. It's amazing. They love each other. They hang out with each other. They're each other's best friend. He's a multi-sport athlete. Just he's special. Special kid. Another Peach State connection. Next up, C.J. Smith. C-time. 6'1", 180 pounds. Fletcher High School, Jacksonville, Florida. This young man's all about relationships. Again, another person who never saw it and committed and got here and said, I see exactly what you're saying. I love it 10 times more than even when you were even talking about it. One of our guys on our staff knows and went to college with one of his trainers. That's how that kind of gets connected. But after weeks of cornerback study, we knew we had to bring in some corners. We knew we had to be able to add depth to the defensive back role. CJ was one that kept coming to the top. Why'd he come to the top? Physical. It's not that he can run. It's not that he can cover. It's not that he's long and he looks the part. This young man is physical. He will hit you. And in the Big Ten, it's a physical conference, especially as much as we do from our edge and our corners, how much we demand them to tackle. He's got to be able to do that, and he can. And you should have seen his eyes when he got here. He hasn't literally left Jacksonville that much. And when he got to the Twin Cities, I mean, they were huge. I mean, absolutely huge. And you could tell that he was in for a treat, and we knew that we were going to get him at that point. Next up, Marine, 6'3", 235-pound linebacker out of Chicago. This is a tough Chicago young man out of Providence Catholic High School. Huge tradition at that high school, state championships and football players. Again, already admitted to the Carlson School of Management. Another one that's taken advantage of one of the most elite public institutions in the country. And that's a credit to all of our faculty, right? All of our faculty who work here, who teach our student athletes and all of our students on a daily basis. These young men want to come sit in your classroom to get your degree. I think that's very important. He's very smart, not 4.0 smart, only 3.98. He had 1B, right? But when you talk about him, he's just one of those guys that is just, his heart is huge. His work ethic's incredible. He wants to prove to himself he can accomplish anything in his life. He's Cuban, and his mom, Katrina, makes unbelievable flan. I don't know if any of you had flan. I've really never had flan before. Part of recruiting is the home visits and the food. I had flan, and it was exceptional. So we had a wonderful night that night. I remember when he committed, we were on a staff retreat in Chicago. Not where he was at, but a staff retreat, and we were playing ping pong. And at this ping pong, kind of like a bowling alley, but it's ping pong. And got the call from him. He committed, and it was a really special night for our staff. Special player, special young man, and he's going to play right in the middle of the defense at the Mike linebacker position. Next up, the number one player in the state of Minnesota, Brevin Span Ford, 6'7", 245 pounds, St. Cloud Tech High School, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Multi-sport athlete, basketball player, incredible hands. He can block. He played defense this year, was incredibly tough on defense. Incredible hands, big, long target for our quarterbacks. He's going to give us a lot of red zone opportunities and red zone threats. But we loved his physicality after watching his defensive film this year. And again, another guy we're going to keep Patino away from. But we're proud, and he's proud of his state. And he wanted to stay right home. And again, we had him at camp. He had other offers before us, but he wanted to come to Minnesota. Very, very excited that he decided to do that. The number one player in the state of Minnesota is staying home. Next, Elijah Teague, 6'3", 300 pounds, out of Marist High School, South Howland, Illinois. Chicago tough, man. Chicago tough. This is what this guy is. Now, I've never met a 310-pound pescatarian who also thinks he's vegan, who also thinks at times he's vegetarian, but eats more meat than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. So the great thing about him is he eats whatever he wants and says, I am who I am on this particular day. He is a special individual, committed to us early over a ton of big-name programs, which we are and we are becoming, in terms of this young man was one of the best interior defensive linemen of all the Midwest. So he had everybody. He came to school here. Coach Dunn, his high school coach at the time, is very close with our staff, and we have taken numerous players out of Marist High School before, and it was a perfect fit. I mean, this guy's got high motor, his twitch. His mom, Alandis, is an amazing woman. She's out of this world. She really is. And, again, another player whose mom is everything to them. They do everything together. They go everywhere together. Very, very special connection between him and his mom. Very special individual who I think you'll be seeing play next year on our defensive line. Next, quarterback. As you can tell, we need some quarterbacks coming in here. Well, we got one. And we talked about junior college. If I'm going to take a junior college player, he's got to be able to play 3 years at quarterback. I'm not a big fan of just 2 years at quarterback. I'm a big fan of 3, though, just like he's a sophomore coming in here. Vic Veramontes, 6'1", 225 pounds. He's gained a few pounds since. Riverside City College in Riverside, California. This guy's unbelievable. I'm going to read off his high school stats. He had over 4,500 pass yards and over 4,500 rushing yards. And he accounted for over 95 touchdowns. Pretty impressive. When you talk about a leader who commands the huddle, commands his team, this guy is exactly that. He's prideful of his family. He's a very loyal person. His dad is a heck of a pool shark. Don't ever play his dad in pool. His film makes you say, wow. Wow. And it's a long, long tape. Not just a highlight tape, but everything else he does in terms of his game tape. Number one JUCO quarterback in the country. His training place was very impressive when we got a chance to visit there. It wasn't what was there, it was who was there. And who kept coming up to me, knowing who I was, and so they're going, you have no idea what type of person you just got. No idea. Not only person and player. It's a young man who's going to be an early enrollee. He'll be here in January in a few weeks. He's an impressive young man. Coach Kraft loves him coming here. He's done a tremendous job developing him, and this kid's a connector. You're really going to see that when he gets here. Very, very excited to get Vic in our program, and I'm very excited to announce him as part of our signing class. Next, Bryce Williams, running back, 6 foot, 200 pounds, Cardinal Mooney High School out of Sarasota, Florida. Here's the one thing I'll say, because we're all Viking people in here. Now, listen, do not be the first one. Always on comparisons again. I'm not comparing. I'm giving you a visual, okay? Think Rob Smith Vikings when you start thinking about this young man, okay, in terms of what style of play he is. And, again, I'm not comparing him to talent of that. I'm comparing him to the style right now. He's all-conference, 4 years of high school. 4 years. Speed to power is really his strength. He's speed, but bam, he gets right into that power. And he can drive people for a long time, but he's also got the speed and the quickness to finish runs and not get caught from behind. His grandpa came with him. His parents did not. His grandpa came, and his grandpa is actually a superstar in where he's from and where his area is. And I remember his grandpa saying, listen, I know I'm not your mom or your guardian or your father, but this is the place for you. And he agreed and committed on the spot when he was here. He's quiet. He's a little bit of all business, but he's got a heck of a smile, and he works his tail end off. This guy is really, really, really exciting, and we're excited to have Bryce Williams join our family. Next, Jack York, 6'6", 300 pounds, First Baptist Academy, Dallas, Texas. I tell you, Jack York is a heck of a lineman, but he's even a better cook. So when I got there at his house in Dallas, Texas, his dad and him come up to me and said, all right, Coach, we got a competition. I'm like, oh, I love competitions. Perfect. They said, no, it has nothing to do with you. You get to enjoy it. We're having a steak cook-off. It's between me and my son, and you're going to pick the best steak. And I looked right at his dad and said, no offense, you don't have any eligibility left. I already know who won. But what they did was we had filet mignon on the green egg. Okay, if you ever had filet mignon on the green egg, it's exceptional. It's elite. And then his dad cooked New York strips. Okay, all right, check that, flip that. Jack cooked New York strips on the gas grill, the easy way. His dad cooked the filet on the green egg and smoked them. And I tell you what, I had a hard time picking Jack's. I love Jack. He's committed now, but your dad won. And it was one of the best fillets I've ever had in my entire life. When you talk about eating, I think I've gained my weight back. Andy, do I look like I've gained a little weight? No? Okay, thanks. But he's an athlete, 300 pounds. The last few weeks of recruiting, he was one of the hottest recruits in the country, especially when you're talking about a lot of people coming in late on offensive linemen. Now, his mom, they're from the South, but his mom, who are both in the medical field, mom and dad, came up and said, don't worry, Coach. I don't have to worry about it being a little chilly up there in January, February, because I already got my heated hat, my heated gloves, my heated jacket, and my heated pants and heated socks. I said, well, you're all set for the Twin Cities in January and February. Perfect. Spread the word. So we're really excited about having him. He's a special individual. Again, like all these young men are, a very, very smart kid, and he's gonna be playing here very soon for the Gophers. I know that. So with that said, there's our class. Again, like I said, we have some gray shirt players. I'm not allowed to comment on them, but I know they're really excited to join our family next January, and hopefully you got a chance to see all them on Twitter or hear from them as well, how excited they are to be Gophers as well. We're building this thing collectively. Very excited about the class. I already read off exactly what it means, but it took a whole army to get this thing done. This is not just about our coaching staff. It's about our support staff. It's about our administration. It's about our community. It's about all the people who own the businesses that we went to. It's about the Minnesota Twins. It's about the Minnesota Vikings. It's about everybody sharing what's so elite about Minnesota together. And lastly, just want to wish the Vikings all the best as they continue to push forward to become the first team ever to play in the home city, right, of the Super Bowl. We're all looking forward to that. I know that, and congratulations to them. So with that, I'll open it up for some questions.
How important was Zach Annickstead to get those two IMG teammates up here?
Well, I think Zach is. I don't think it was just for the IMG people up here. It's about legacy. It's about creating opportunities, moments, and memories for the rest of his 50, 60 years on this planet, of being able to say, this is what you dreamed of doing. Let's make that a reality. And Zach was somebody we've had all, even before the other players. But Zach knows what this place is about because of his dad, because of his mom, because of his brother. They know that. And the greatest part about our culture is that when you have players inside your culture who are family members of somebody else, you know how well it's working. Because if he doesn't come here, that must mean, man, what's Brock telling this guy about our place, right? He must be telling him something. But he came. And not only that, he came differently than most of them. And a lot of times people wouldn't give up what he had to come here to do what he has to do here. So very proud of him.
Coach, when you talked about Rashad Bateman, you said that it was pretty easy to get him to commit right away. How much work after the commitment, as those other offers were coming in, did you have to kind of
It's a great question, Andy. How much work was it? If you ask him, oh, you had nothing to worry about. If you ask me, it was constant panic. For 6-month panic, 6-month worry. You can ask Heather. I mean, she's like, oh, yeah, he ain't going anywhere. I'm like, don't say that. He's good. No, there's no way. He's got to go somewhere. If he gets offered by X, Y, and Z, I'm sure he's going to go. Why wouldn't he? And when you sit there and talk with him, there's nothing to worry about. And when you talk to Mo, we get paid to worry, to be paranoid. That's what makes you on the cutting edge of things, to stay proactive. But I think for him, there was no doubt in his mind. He never wavered, ever. And at some point, he got to us and said, Coach, listen, for the 15th time, I'm not going anywhere. Do you trust me? Usually I'm the one asking that. And I said, yeah, I sure do. I'll stop asking you. And that was the last day I asked him. But I think that when his whole family got around us, and that birthday party in his house, that was a special day. That was my birthday, his birthday. That was special. And that's kind of what we do. We celebrate everybody's birthday every single day in our program. Why not do it with our recruit when we're allowed to, and do that together?
PJ, so many people have talked about how Vic Viramontes is a lot similar to you personality-wise. What did you see from Vic when you first met him?
I saw energy, passion, leadership, connectivity. That's what I saw. I saw a natural leader. Now, he's a wave. That should never be compared to me in terms of at all. This guy is very, very, very special. Special player, and accomplished so much in high school and also junior college. And he's always done it with expectation. This is a guy that's ready. He wants to be able to take the weight of the world of Minnesota and put it on his shoulders, just like Zach does. That's what we wanted. When you haven't done something in 51 years now, the weight of the world, you can be the guy that can help that, and you've got to carry yourself differently, and he does. But again, the greatest relationship in sports, I think, is the head coach and the quarterback. I really believe that. You look at Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I truly believe that, because same thing with him. You get all this credit when things are going great. You get all the credit when things are going bad, and all the criticism, right? And you have to be able to handle that. And it takes a very special person that has a ton of confidence and believes in themselves and knows exactly who they are when the world tries to make you somebody that you're not, or say that you're somebody that you're not. To stay true and real to yourself is inspiring, and that's exactly who he is.
Daniel Falalele improving as a football player, just with a little bit of experience he had.
Yeah, football is a different game. It's amazing to watch football. If you ever watch football with people who don't know anything about football, right? In terms of when you're talking from a different country where rugby's the sport, or in Europe where, football, soccer is the sport. And they watch it, I don't get it, And then watch him play 1 year, that's one thing. Just how he learned the game so quickly. It's a credit to his coaches at IMG. But it's also how he can bend. He is a large human being, and he can bend down with his hands straight in the sky and touch his backside to the ground. That's impressive. Now we just have to be able to get all those little intricate parts about playing offensive line, hand placement, right, pad level, first step, quickness, those things. We've got to be able to build that, plus the game. But our staff, I don't think there's anybody better in the country at doing that than our staff. So we're excited to have him, for sure.
Coach, what was the process?
He'll be the first one walking off the bus next to me. They always say the first few guys off the bus tell you. So he'll be sitting next to me, and he'll be one of the guys first off the bus. Sorry, Andy.
No, it's okay. Coach, what was the process with Nolan Edmonds when he decided to kind of back away and then come back in? And then the second part, to get 2 running backs in the top 25, it seems like that is quite the catch, given the fact that most of these guys will look at it and go, I want to go to a spot where I know that I'm the guy.
I think that here's a 2-part question. First, I'll say I think that's a credit to Rodney Smith and Shannon Brooks, right? Kobe McCrary, Barber. You talk about all the great backs we've had. That's a compliment to them, because they know you're coming to Minnesota, you're going to run the ball. You go to Minnesota, we're going to run the ball in the Big Ten, baby. And that's a credit to our past and all the elite backs we've had before. In terms of Nolan Edmonds, when he first decommitted, everybody talks about, he decommitted. There's certain instances where it really isn't a decommit. It's just, I want you to do this, but if you're going to do this, you have to do this. And I know he wanted to see something else. But be able to do that, you're going to have to do something that maybe you don't want to do. But I promise you, after you see all that, you'll find your way back to us. But I usually don't sit there and say, okay, well, I'll take you back. Usually when ties are cut, it's hard to be able to do that for multiple reasons. But I knew what he was doing. I knew what he wanted. I knew his family inside and out. We had a great relationship. And I knew what he was doing that bettered himself. And that's what I wanted. But I also knew after he saw X, Y, and Z, he'd come right back to us because I think we have something really, really special. And I think he saw that, and that's when he came back.
Do you think the early signing period helped this team compared to the old signing period?
Well, I think everybody has the opportunity to sign now, through the 22nd. They have the opportunity to sign in February, right? So everybody's going to handle it differently. I know this. When our kids are committed, I think there was one kid who was originally committed that wasn't committed truly when you kind of look at it over the last few months. When they say they're committed, they're committed. They're signing. And if you're committed, you're signing. And December 20th is when we're going to do it. It's kind of what we want to be able to do. Our class did a tremendous job at connecting with each other. These guys know each other inside and out already. And I think that's important that anytime you can sign student athletes fast and get it done, over with, it helps you in the next class too. I mean, we go back out in January, everybody. And this is my spring recruiting. I'm not allowed to go spring recruiting in May. Now I have it in January. So I'm excited. So we're going to attack the 2019 class starting today.
How important is it to keep some of the Minnesota talent in state and get the commitment from them?
It's incredibly important. We want to keep in-state talent here, period. Right? And it always shows when you sign 5 guys from your own state. You got the number 1 player in the state. We have to keep doing that. 2019, we got to keep doing the same thing. And that's going to be an expectation. I want that to happen. Now, there's always instances that come into play. But again, we want to take the best in-state talent that we truly feel fit our culture, that are capable of playing at this level in the Big Ten at the University of Minnesota and fit all 4 areas of life. Not just, hey, you're ranked so high in Minnesota, you belong here. You got to fit all types of areas, right, to be able to fit our culture because, again, your life's got to be important to you. This isn't just come here, play football, and leave. It's demanding. It's demanding in every area of your life, and that's hard. It's not bad. That's hard, right? And, but this is helping people down the road to become better men, better husbands, better fathers, better teachers, better educators, and it's really exciting.
Coach, going off of that, David Alston and Woodbury committed and signed with Nebraska today. He's a guy that you're going to see probably annually. I mean, what went into the recruiting process with him and why you guys decided not to offer him?
Like I said, everything fits into what we're looking for and numbers and a lot of things that fit into that. So there's not a specific equation of just because you're in state means that, there's 50 in-state kids that are somewhat Division I or, Division II or Division III players. Doesn't mean they're going to necessarily play at the University of Minnesota. So again, I don't really comment on players that aren't ours, but anybody who didn't sign with us, I wish them all the best. And I know they're going to represent our state very well wherever they're playing.
How was the logistics of the eLITE18 event a couple weeks ago?
I tell you what, the eLITE18 was phenomenal. I really believe that. But that's about connecting people. That's not only just connecting our recruits, connecting our parents. I think it was one of the largest, if not the largest, official visit in NCAA history, maybe. It was huge. But you know what? That means our staff had to work 10 times harder. We had to be able to connect those parents because, hey, listen, you're bringing your son here, but here's who he's going to be around. Not only that, here's who you're going to tailgate with. And I think that's important. This is who your son's going to room with, and let's share numbers and let's exchange that while we're here because that's how it's going to work when you get here. This is going to be your other family. So eLITE18 was tremendous, and it wasn't just our staff having this. We had the help of so many others, from our academic department to our administration, to, like I said, to the Minnesota Vikings, the Minnesota Twins, to so many other businesses around here that helped us. It means a lot. It really does. And they're part of this recruiting class just as much as we are.
Any more questions for Coach?
Sid said we're done. We're done, right, Sid? We're done. We're done. Thanks, everybody. Keep rowing the boat. Sky Ma, go Gophers. Thanks a lot. We're done, man. He said, listen, I'm out. What's that?
There were a few times where he's like, how far along are we?
Yeah. He's like, why did we just go to Thursday?